I want to tell you a story about my dad's history. The point of the story is to teach about how to think and to inspire you to think. I taught college for 5 years, and I don't believe that school teaches us to think. I believe school teaches us to memorize. For example, when I was a kid, we memorized the planets, and Pluto was a planet. Now, Pluto isn't a planet. So I memorized something, and now that is no longer true. When you learn to think, you learn to solve problems. It is one of the most valuable things you can do. I need to make money. And you think about, how can I do that? I want to lose weight. And you think about, how do I do that? And you solve your problems. When you memorize something, you have an answer to a question, but it's one limited question, like name the planets. That doesn't necessarily help you figure out how to lose weight or make money or make a better mousetrap. So I want to tell you this story about my dad. When he was 18, he was a pilot in the United States Army Air Corps. There wasn't an Air Force yet. It was known as the United States Army Air Corps. And he was a B-17 pilot. He got shot down, and he was a prisoner of war in Nazi Germany. He was at a camp, and they had really big guard dogs. He said the guard dogs were so big that when the guards would patrol the camp, the dogs' backs could be seen above the window. So that's the barracks he stayed in. And that is a guard dog. See? His back is above the window. You can see the back of the dog outside the window. It's a big dog. They were scary. There was a guard that wasn't very friendly. And soldiers that the guard didn't like, he would kind of sick the dogs on the soldier, and the dog would, kind of bite him for a little bit. I don't think the guard ever killed anybody with the dogs, but he would sick the dogs on him. That's a soldier. Maybe my dad. And that's a dog biting my dad on the butt. So anyway, this guard was not very nice. And they wanted to not worry about getting bit by the dogs. So my dad and his friends took this guard aside and they said, let's make a deal. We will teach you English if you don't bite us with dogs. And learning English could be valuable. Being bilingual is valuable. Being able to speak more than one language makes you more valuable. At that camp, which housed American prisoners of war, there was the captain or the leader of the camp, and he was referred to as the Hauptmann, and I may pronounce that wrong. It's a German word. He was like a captain or a commandant. And he could speak English and German, and that way he could talk to German soldiers and he could talk to American or English prisoners of war. So they told this guy, we will teach you English. This guy's English wasn't very strong. He knew some. We'll teach you English, but you cannot attack us with the dogs. And the guy agreed. And they told him, they said, we want you to look good. We want you, when you show off your English, we want you to look really polished. We want you to look really smart. So don't show off your English until we tell you you're ready. And when you're ready, you're going to look good. And the guy agreed, and he did not sick the dogs on them. So my dad and his friends taught this man English, but they taught him every cuss word that they knew. They told him it meant different things, like FU meant your tie looks very nice. And so they taught him all these cuss word phrases, And one day they said, you're ready. You are ready. You sound good. Why don't you go into the Hauptmann and show him your English? Now, the German guards weren't supposed to fraternize with the American soldiers. And he'd been spending a lot of time with them, and they used him to get things they weren't supposed to have, contraband, like cameras. So he goes into the Hauptmann, Sig Heils him, and starts calling him every cuss word name in the book. And they don't know what happened to the guard. They never saw him again. I guess the Hauptmann was not happy for a lot of reasons. So this is an example of problem solving. Okay, wait a minute. Let me hit that punchline again. So they sent the guy into the Hauptmann, and he Sig Heiled him and cussed him out, and they never saw him again. This is an example of problem solving. Oh, it's backwards. It's supposed to say laugh now. Well, I didn't plan that very well. Obviously, I wasn't thinking. So thinking begins with asking questions. Who, what, when, where, why. You start asking questions. Memorizing doesn't involve questioning. Often memorizing involves just turning your brain off and opening your head like a toilet and letting information be poured in. And sometimes that information is misinformation. It's wrong. Maybe they say it's a fact, and then later they say it's not a fact. Maybe they're intentionally misleading you. When you question things, someone will tell you, Pluto is a planet. And you question, well, why is it a planet? Who decided it was a planet? How long has it been a planet? Where is it? And maybe you'd be the one to figure out, well, it's not really a planet, because what is a planet? A planet is this. And Pluto is something different. It's not a planet. Somebody who figured out it wasn't a planet is someone who asked questions, who questioned what they had been told, and questioned that fact. They'd been told Pluto's a planet, and they questioned it, and they were right. So while you're getting whatever education it is you're getting, try not to just memorize. Learn to think, which means to question the information you see, the information you hear, the information you touch. And that's how you figure out if something is the emperor's new clothes, if you're familiar with that story. Everybody was told the emperor had these nice clothes and he was really naked. And one person was not afraid to question that and go, I don't see any clothes. Do you all really see clothes? So learn to think. Don't be afraid to think. Be afraid not to think. And you will be able to solve any problem. Memorize an answer and you can solve one problem. Learn to think and you can solve many problems. Thank you. And I appreciate you tuning in to the Atom Principle.